So we're sitting here in the Restorative Justice Room at Fremont High School in Oakland in the Fruitvale District. And here is where I'm able to hold circle with all kinds of students. And so I'm doing this work with young people, which is fun and challenging and really invigorating. And then I'm doing it with adults. For the past few years, I've been doing prison arts programming in different carceral settings, from juvenile hall to county jail, state prison, and then most significantly at a federal women's prison here in California. The work is really isolating, it's beautiful and transformative and inspiring, and then I don't have enough people to share it with on the outside. The connections have been really deep within the space, which is behind prison walls. And this learning lab was an attempt to bring the learnings and the curriculum that I've developed to a wider audience, and in particular to partner with other artists and facilitators and healers to make it better and more relevant or applicable to different contexts. In the facility, when I do this theater and healing residency, after 12 weeks we do a public performance.
You are kind. You are smart. And you are not crazy. I mean, the world is crazy.
I don't think any of us in this room or in a black and brown community doesn't have some kind of icky connection with the incarceration system. Whether it's been us that have been directly impacted, whether it's a family member, significant other, whether it's police brutality.
Oh, I know that person. Oh, my boyfriend's brother, you know what I'm saying? And then thinking about all the like systematic things that might not directly affect me, but affect all these people around me, then like my own racial profiling in life, being a mixed person.
This cycle of incarceration that just doesn't stop, from the fallout that happens after incarceration and all of the ways that families and communities are impacted all the way down the line. It's a big deal to communities of color, and to have this many incredible artists, dancers, and poets, and martial artists, actors, and singers in the same room. These are really accomplished artists and teaching artists in their own realms, and they're all giving back to their communities through their art.
For this learning lab, we used a span of 12 weeks, which is what I've often done at the prison, where I'm developing trust with the people who are inside. The incarcerated artists is how I consider them, and sort of in the partnership, that's how it evolves. And we use circle process in the tradition of restorative justice to deepen connections with each other and consider alternatives to the criminal response that they are currently dealing with for wrongdoing or for harm. Drama therapy is a big inspiration, playback theater, theater of the oppressed, and psychodrama. And just the rich tradition of protest art and resistance art that I've encountered in spoken word, in communities in Bengal, which is my homeland, and here in Oakland. I've been taught by a lot of my former students, so I incorporate a lot of different writing prompts or improv sort of starters into that work. The thing about restorative justice is that not everybody believes that it can be implemented to change our society. I think it fundamentally can. I think if we live our values, in this learning lab we spent, I don't even know, like maybe 2.5 hours talking about our values and really connecting them to the ways that they aren't being lived by power holders, by government. What would our world look like if they were? How could we see each other as human?
Tatiana's work has allowed our vision and our perspective to expand so that we're looking at how we're doing things differently. As a theater company who believes in equity and how art contributes to a more just society, we aren't just the plays that are on our stage, right? We are the partnerships and relationships we have in the community. We are the programs that support outside of our organization and outside of our stage. And so a program like Tatiana's and a relationship with a person like Tatiana is absolutely vital and crucial to fulfilling our mission, fulfilling our values, to leading with our values.
This process has been good because I've been able to reanalyze traditional modes of theater making. Theater and performance is not toxic. but how it's used can be. And then that's where harm comes into play. My background in writing, I'm realizing how dangerous it can be when, let's say, a writer writes a piece that is very healing and therapeutic for me, but it's very traumatic for like the actors or the directors that I'm inviting into the space to like perform the words. That idea has never crystallized fully until being in this group. There's a way to play and there's a way to hold each other in a performance using performance tools that actually is healing. And it doesn't cost anybody any extra harm if done correctly.
We do a lot of improv and embodiment, calling it body demechanization, kind of understanding how our bodies can move and feel differently than the routine ways that we usually use our bodies. And then we start to mirror each other through exercises that reflect each other's stories in different ways. So for this learning lab, I did a similar thing. There was a deep hunger for healing from the group. I think I hadn't anticipated how much facilitators and teaching artists working in traumatized communities, how much they needed space to reflect and process and connect and heal. And so we spent a majority of our time sitting in circle in deep processing, even before and after each activity, what landed with people and what settings they might consider using it, when would it be irresponsible to do a particular exercise because of trauma responses or different activators. It was really deep and a lot of verbal processing and emotional holding of each other.
There was an exercise that we did, the machine exercise.
And then we all just did this, what does injustice look like? And people just got into this role.
This is what a family member might feel. This is what it's like to be victimized by the legal system. All of our experiences kind of coalesce into one holistic definition of what the incarceration system looks like, because all of our different experiences are painting one line of this shared definition.
I think it's important and imperative to have like-minded people in the healing process for me, because it's so raw, right? It's hurtful. That intent is intentional with the fact that I'm processing. You know, my intent is not to harm you or hurt you, but my intent is to say how I feel in this process because it's real.
It's just like that feeling of like, you know, feeling like safe with the people that you're with and protected and like heard and loved and cared for. And it may not even be like a happy conversation, but sometimes those hard conversations bring you closer together because you know you need to hear it, you know. This space has been the space where I've been able to like, you know, reflect on myself, you know.
Yeah. I don't know, it's so like you said, surprisingly healing, because I wasn't expecting how powerful and important listening to each other was going to be. When you really dive into it more and you really have space to hold each other, I think that that's something that I haven't experienced like this so viscerally and like raw. That was the biggest shock, I suppose, with the process. It's been lovely and it's been great. It has been very transformative in a way that I didn't expect. So
coming into a space where there's like-minded people that actually care about communities strengthening and growing and becoming more and more self-empowered is a really amazing place to be. And I really appreciate being part of this process. It's impacted my work already, and because I care greatly about the community and everything that I do in my work is related to social justice, my work is just going to get stronger and stronger and be able to impact more community members in ways that I've never even considered I would be able to impact.
There's always those moments when participants were sharing their own stories, but there was always an exercise when the ensemble of participants all got together and they took a volunteer from the audience and they interpreted their story. And then that's a whole nother kind of agency. That's a whole nother kind of empowerment. And I think that specifically when we talk about this work happening in correctional facilities, the thing that I felt more than anything else was this notion that in a space where it feels like your agency has been taken away, that for the brief moments of time when you are in that space, in that relationship to an audience, you are in control of your story. And the sort of agency that comes with that, I think there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I mean, it's also not just agency, it's dignity.
Mm-hmm. We were literally in such close proximity, but then to see the performers and the participants emboldened and like filled with the strength of telling their story and the emotion, the true generative, real tears that came out of it were not only the participants' tears, but my tears alongside with them. To be asked to be sharing space in that way and to watch as the techniques and the process that Tatiana uses like can bring this out of people, regular people who are not necessarily trained actors with years and years of experience, right? Like what one thinks of when you're in a theater space. Like it just speaks so much to what you're saying about the value of art making being something that's in the hands of all of us as humans. Her work finds that inside all of us and like brings it out in a way.
Yeah.
Very inspirational program of hope for an expression through art. I see how art can be a medicine, assist with anybody's healing process, and also express their creativity. So I'm really appreciative. I've learned a lot, and I look forward to more.
So I came to tonight's performance as someone who has done work to reform our criminal justice system. And one of the most powerful pieces to me was the last piece done by Tylone, where she shared the various ways in which the system is built to keep people from actually being able to advance and change their lives. My biggest takeaway is realizing how that is the way that we all need to work together in dismantling the system, is seeing in the way it isolates each other from community and from being able to help one another. When we actually face those built-in aspects of the system, that's how we will really begin to take our society to a different place.
I feel like this is medicine, and more people need it, and it is so rich and so full, and everyone can find themselves in this and can take something they need and give something to share in this process.
Yeah, definitely. I think this, it impacted me in a way that I can't really describe, but it was very deeply. So, yeah, I'm definitely leaving feeling different after this event. So, yeah. I have a brother who just got out of prison. He was in there for like 5 years. He was in solitary confinement for 3 of those years. So he came out like really differently, and I just was kind of thinking about that and realizing how much it like affected me, and it kind of like hurts me to see that he like really lost a piece of himself, and just like, I don't know, but it kind of inspired me too, because I just feel like that's, that there's space for him and there's healing that can happen. So yeah, I'm inspired for that.
One of the things that made this space very powerful is a shared understanding of power and access and historical trauma. I think that's the key thing, is that we can do art, and theater can be healing no matter what. It's amazing to be able to put on a role and actually be authentic while you're wearing that mask. That's sort of a, there's a famous Oscar Wilde quote, I forget what it is, but that when you wear the mask, you can be your real self. I think that's amazing. And in a prison context, which is just held down by power, that there needs to be some critical consciousness. There needs to be some awareness that this is not okay, that there are problems, there are abuses, that we should be critical and challenging the way that we treat our neighbors, that we shouldn't be locking people up and throwing away the key or disposing of people, that nobody should be disposable or feel that they are disposable. And I think that's one of the things. So doing this art is amazing, artists are amazing, and I think having that grounding and that solidarity is crucial. For me, that's meant working with women who have loved ones who are inside and supporting them in shutting down cash bail, in just standing in political solidarity and making sure that in all the work that I do, that I'm somehow bringing that political vision into it while I'm doing the work inside, or while I might be benefiting from being on this film and kind of having my own artistic practice deepened, that I'm also standing in solidarity with people who are directly impacted and who are suffering every day because of it.